Okay, I have the FAF now set up with the water-soluble thread, and we're going to turn it on. And it takes a minute for this one to boot up. And now it has to calibrate the embroidery module, so you'll hear it move. And then we go to our USB, and we're going to select the USB drive. And the first one we're going to use is we're going to lay down a 5-inch basting box. So it's going to go in our hoop. And we want the 240 by 150 hoop. By 150 master hoop. Here we go. So that gives us, and we want to make sure it's in the center. Then we want to add our next basting box. I think they're marked, but one's a 5-inch and one is a 4.5 inch. Okay, the second one is the 5-inch. So we put it in the center. So this is what you would use. There, hold on, let me select it. There it goes. Delete it. Okay, we have a 5-inch box. So what you do is lay this down with your thread, and then you could put a 5-inch charm pack in here to either cut or to make your orange peel. Then we want to add the 4.5-inch basting box, and that will tack your 5-inch square down for you when you're doing this. So we want to also center that. So what it's going to do is draw a 5-inch line for you to put your charm square or your cut piece, and then it's going to draw a 4.5-inch square to baste it down, because the orange peel is a 4.5-inch finished block, and that's why you can use charm. So our next is, because we're going to do a cut, we have 2 files here. I have one for the raw edge, which just cuts your shape for you with the basting, but then I also have one here for the needle turn, which is a double line, and it has a 1/4 inch in it, so it should fit in here in your 5-inch box for you. Oh, it keeps moving it to the corner. So we're going to just put it in here. I'm going to delete these basting boxes because we don't need them. That's for when you're piecing your quilt. There. Guys. Now we have our piece pretty well centered. So now we will turn, and I'll put it here so you can see it a little better of what it's doing. We put our hoop on our machine. May shake the camera a little bit while I'm putting this on. So we put it in here, and then I'm going to press embroider, and it's going to measure the hoop, and then I'm going to slow it way down for you so you can see what it's doing as it's doing it. I mean, this is way too slow, but it's more for you to be able to see it. So what we do is we hold our piece of thread, and this has bobbin thread from the lace that I've been making, but bobbin thread doesn't matter. You can use any. As long as one side is the wash away, it will wash out, which is important. So I don't know what it was doing here. So here we go. So it's going to ask you to trim your threads. They don't have to be perfect, but here we go. And like I said, I have this very, very slow for you to see. And I don't know which one it's doing first, but I'll explain the lines to you in a second. It's going to embroider 2 lines. Okay, the inside line is the actual size of your shape. The outside line is your cut line for the faux needle turn, and it should be 1/4 of an inch. So it's going to go around and it's going to do this. So it's done. So we're going to take our hoop out and try not to hit the camera too bad. And here we go. Can you see the lines in here? So what we're going to do is unhoop this here. And then I'm going to move the camera a little bit out so you can see better. Let me get some more light over here so you can see this. While it focuses. It has a line. It has 2 lines. And what you want to do is, I'm just going to quickly cut this off across the bottom so it's easier to hold. So you can see it a little bit easier. There we go. Let's pull it out a little bit more. And then what we're going to do, let's trim this up a little bit more so it's easier to manage. It's hard to do this on camera so everybody can see it. I have a rough cut of this coming out. There we go. So we have a rough cut, but you should be able, let's see if we can, if we turn it over, you'll see the 2 lines. So what we want to do is cut this out inside the outside line. And it doesn't have to be perfect either. That's the beauty of this. But ordinarily, I would do a bunch of these and then take an X-Acto knife on my cutting board and cut these out. A lot of them, if I'm doing them this way. But this allows you to be able to fussy cut in your embroidery hoop, but it also makes sure your shapes are absolutely perfect. Because basically that inside line is the tack down stitch, if you've ever embroidered, is the alignment stitch for your orange peel. So it's going to be that size. See, we have it all cut out. Now we turn it over on this side and we pull it up and we cut this like we did before, doing it the manual way, and we turn this wrong side out. Well, actually, because we put the stabilizer on top, we're turning the right side of the fabric out. And I'll use my tweezers to get it more perfect. I also use a chopstick. It's over on my cutting table. So there it goes. And oh, I didn't turn this one fully under. So there we go. Sorry about hitting the camera, but I'm trying to do this in front for you. So what we would do is now press this and it will be a perfect, because we have these seams and they're going to fold under, and you're going to have between an 1/8 and a 1/4 inch orange peel. There you go. And see, you can tell the top is perfect. I need to spend more time doing this. And you have to be with the water soluble. It will melt under an iron. But there we go. It's getting more as we play with it. It's getting your seams all done correctly. But I mean, that's close. You could see that if you really iron this, this would be a perfect orange peel. And you just made it with your embroidery machine. So now we're going to do the next step. I'm going to rapidly rehoop this fabric so we can do our orange peel. I cut a bunch of orange peels out with my AccuQuilt for us to test. I'm going to use water soluble again, but I'm going to put it on the bottom this time and put my fabric in here. Right side up. Okay. the orange peels that I cut out. But again, you can see this is the fold in the fabric, the center fold. But so you can see it's in here flat, but it's not tight. It should have a drum. But it shouldn't be stretched. So we're going to put it. So I have to go back to embroidery. Now I'm going to put my hoop back in here. And we're going to come back to the screen. And I'm going to delete everything in there. Delete all. Then I'm going to go back to my USB. And I'm going to select the orange peel file, which is the proper one, and this is with the blanket stitch with the tack down stitches. So and it's done in 3 colors. So first one. Yes. Like I said, I have this very slow for you. So I'm going to, it's telling me to trim my thread, so I'm going to trim my big tail off. And this is your 5-inch block if you're doing this, that you're going to float your fabric in here on your stabilizer. I'm not floating it. But like I said, I've got it very, very slow for you. But I'm using the water-soluble thread, so I don't have to remove it. If you use regular threads, you have to pick these stitches, but they're bigger stitches, so they're easier to pick out. I think they're 4 or 5 millimeters. But see, you could come in here now and lay a 5-inch square on here for you. You see it has a line here, and a 5-inch square should fit in that. So now we're going to go to the next and do the tack down, which is the 4.5 inch. So we're tacking down our 5-inch charm background fabric. And like I said, I'm using my cheap chest fabric to do this. And I'm giving you the full embroidery files so you can change any of these stitches. You can delete anything you want because I want you to have full capabilities with it. Now, we've got our boxes and we have our alignment and then our tack down of our 4.5. And this machine cuts its thread sometimes, not always. I need to have because I've been making all this lace, my thread cutter's dull. So now we're going to do our alignment stitch. Okay, now we're going to take and unthread this machine. This is the water soluble. And I'm going to put my lace thread because I already have it here on the thread stand and it's ready to go. So we put our lace thread because this next stitch is lower your foot, press your foot to give it tension. And then we use our thread. I use tweezers on this machine because I don't want to mess with the embroidery and my hands are so big. So, but if you can do it. So we have it threaded. So we're going to take our hoop and we're going to slide our hoop off. I'm going to back up a little bit so you can see better. And then we're going to trim this up a little bit. There we go. Get this thread out of the way. See, we have a nice line here for your orange peel. And here I have them pre-cut and it should lay down in this spot. So what I'm going to do is the most wonderful sewing tool of the universe. Elmer's glue stick. We're going to give it some glue. And again, this is water soluble glue, so nothing big. It washes out. So we're going to turn this over and we're going to align these points. It's all nicely aligned. And see how it fits nicely inside those threads? that we did. So we do this and we make it nice and smooth. And if I wasn't on the camera, it would be much neater because I'd take it out, have the big table to work on when you're in your private. So now we take it and put our hoop back in. There we go. And I usually use a bamboo chopstick for this, but let's see if I can get it for you since this video has run so long. Yes, here it is. And the reason I use bamboo chopsticks is you have this nice edge and you have a point on one end, but if your needle hits the bamboo, it will split the bamboo and sew. If you hit metal, you're going to break a needle, which can damage your machine. So we're going to start this. And it wants me to cut my thread. There we go. And then what I would do is, if this doesn't lay perfectly, you can take the flat end of this and just kind of smooth these out and hold it down. While this is stitching. And the points are the most important. And here we go. We're just going to hold it down. But I got enough glue on this, it really doesn't need to be held down. And this is raw edge, but if you had used your needle turn one, then it wouldn't have a raw edge. It would have a nice, smooth, round edge on here. And there we have a nice piece of our first orange peel block is appliqued using the blanket stitch. Here we go. Can you see how nice that point and how nice the blanket stitch comes around here? So now you would cut it out on this 5-inch line here, and you'd have a 5-inch block, and then you would sew these together and make your orange peel. And for our pattern, we need 110 of these 5-inch blocks. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope it helps you. Talk to you later. See you next Thursday. Bye.